also known as the Rickety Princess. She is an adorable little Himalayan who falls over a lot. She is super, super cute and so cuddly, and it's unbearable. Unfortunately, she also has a habit of announcing that it's time to eat at around 3:30 a.m. by singing the song of her people. Shooing her away only gains about a half hour apiece before she announces it again. So you can imagine how hard it is after a long day at the office with serious lack of sleep going on to sit down and plan a meal. Thankfully, we have HelloFresh to help out on those more zombie-like days. HelloFresh is currently offering customers the classic box, a veggie box, and a family box. HelloFresh is the meal delivery service that makes cooking more fun so you can focus on the whole experience and not just the plate. And each week, HelloFresh creates new delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take about 30 minutes for everyone from novices to seasoned home cooks short on time. HelloFresh delivers food to your doorstep in a recyclable, insulated box, and it's all for less. Delicious ingredients which you'll love to eat, and simple recipes you'll love to cook. So get cooking. I'll tell you, I've used HelloFresh. I've enjoyed it. It's helped me out immensely. And if you want to try HelloFresh, you can go to their website and use the promo code Sideways30. That's Sideways30. To get $30 off your first week of deliveries. So go to HelloFresh.com and enter Sideways30 when you subscribe. Because it's great for those days when your fuzzy wonder, or just the world, make it a little hard to sit down and plan a meal from scratch.
And we're back. First theory. I'm actually doing it in sections, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sections? What do you mean?
Foul
You've never
play,
done this to
foul
us.
play and not foul play.
So
let's start with theory number 1, foul play. Theory number 1A, the Sons of Silence.
You mean the Sounds of Silence? The Simon & Garfunkel song?
No, the Sons of Silence, the notorious
Motorcycle
biker gang.
Oh, those guys. Okay.
Yeah. There was a 2020 segment on Lauren a few years ago, and they tracked down this guy who had been a member of the Sons of Silence. The Sons of Silence, for those of you who do not know, are what is known as a 1% group of motorcyclists, which means they're an outlaw motorcycle gang. And that comes from
the American Motorcycle Association.
Yeah, the president made a statement once where he said 99% of motorcyclists are law-abiding, like great citizens. And so the 1% that are not like that took to heart that they are the 1%, and so they actually wear patches
that say 1%.
This
on them. Is what I hear. I know.
Yeah, they're very proud of it.
Not to be confused with the 1% that people were protesting a couple of years ago. That's a different 1% of non-law abiding citizens.
I bet a lot of people, a lot of bikers who are not even in the 1% probably still wear that patch just because it's kind of badass.
I have heard that is a very bad idea.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, in that culture, you don't pose. There is no posing because you will get it handed to you.
So the Sons of Silence are like a real legit outlaw bike gang, and they have kind of factions everywhere, and one of them
chapters,
excuse me. They have chapters everywhere, and
we do not want them to come after us. It's
happens to be in Bloomington, Indiana, or thereabouts, and there was a tip given to the investigators in the case that a guy who used to be what they call a cleaner for the Sons of Silence, which is
Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to explain it.
I didn't know those guys cleaned up after themselves.
He cleans up after them.
Oh.
Basically, there was some speculation that he had, for whatever reason, killed Lauren and buried the body on his farm. Well, it turns out that tip actually came from his very annoyed ex-wife and was totally unsubstantiated. So, in short, this theory is bad, and you should feel bad.
Yeah, I saw a little footage on 2020. Ryan Ross went to his house, and the guy's like said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even know the broad." And then shuts the door.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you watch the whole thing, it's actually very interesting. I kind of feel bad for the guy because he seemed like he was very willing to talk, but he had stipulated without cameras, and they showed up with cameras, and he was like, I don't want to talk on camera, turn the camera off, and I'm happy to talk to you guys about everything that I may or may not know about this case. And they said, not in like a shady, like, well, I might know something. Like, I literally don't know anything, but like, I'm happy to talk to you guys about, because he's an ex-member of this gang. And so he was, it seemed like he was willing to say, like, well, I'm happy to talk to you guys about the activity I knew about around that time to see if any of it coincides.
They booked the appointment under semi-false pretenses with him.
Yeah, they did.
They tried to ambush him.
They did.
And he was having none of it.
And he was like, I told you no cameras. And they were like, and they just got in his face with the cameras. And he was like, okay, bye. And closed the door and told them to get off the property.
Yeah, the same episode, they tried to ambush Corey also. And
they tried to ambush a lot of people.
Yeah, same results.
Yeah, they apparently are not very good at setting up stings, is what this tells me about the crew of 2020.
So who else we have besides the Deadly Bikers?
Yeah, well, there's people do think maybe the boyfriend did it,
Jesse Wolf.
He was actually considered a serious person of interest for a while, just the first parts of the investigation.
In the beginning. Well, it's always the boyfriend.
Yeah, well, the husband or the boyfriend or the wife or the girlfriend,
But he had roommates in his place,
there was
right?
there was no evidence to back this up. It was just people saying like, well, it was the jealous boyfriend who did it. And I think there are some people on the internet who falsely perpetuate that, continue to falsely perpetuate that. But I think that's a really bad theory, and it really is just making somebody who's already suffering more.
Although there is that question again. This is one of those things that doesn't really make a lot of sense because he stayed home while she's out drinking with with other guys and stuff.
Joe,
so that's a little weird.
Joe, have you ever heard of the friend zone?
Yeah.
She may have had the couple of guys that she was hanging out with. They were in the friend zone, and they were trying to make their impression and make their mark, and so they always went out with her.
Yeah.
But she was like, yeah, no, I'm not. No, that's never happening. Here's
another
fun
idea.
people.
You can just be friends with people.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the friend zone. Like she thought they were friends.
No, not even a friend zone. Like everybody can just be friends with everybody else, and there doesn't have to be sexual tension or like underlying romance or anything.
Yeah, but
you're not a man. You don't understand how this works. Dudes constantly are like, I wonder. In college, dudes are constantly like that.
Especially when there's a lot of booze involved. Yeah, there's
I'm afraid.
Guys will take advantage. Yes.
All right.
So,
this has been a fun discussion.
So, but leaving the boyfriend out of the whole thing, I mean, he could have done it. I mean, there's people with all sorts of theories out there. Like, for example, he was supposedly texting her at the bar and stuff over the course of the evening. Could have had somebody else do the texting while he went out and stalked her and observed her with these guys, and then eventually, bushwhacked her and killed her out of jealousy.
I think it's a bad theory.
Oh yeah, it is. But I just want to say, it's
yeah,
anything's possible.
I think the Sons of Silence did it before I think Jesse did it.
Yeah.
And I do not think the Sons of Silence did it. So
probably not.
So the next two theories are still foul play. The not boyfriend theories. There is one thing that I didn't mention, and that is the surveillance footage that was released. There are only two little bits.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is just a picture of Lauren leaving for the night from her apartment.
You see her from behind.
No, you see her from the front.
When she was... Oh, wait. I thought you meant when she was leaving the apartment at 4 in the morning.
No. She's
they haven't released that one. Okay.
No.
I'm getting it mixed up.
It's the beginning of the night. She's kind of smiling. She's got a white polo shirt on and some black pants. And I don't know why. I guess so that people could know what she had looked like on that night. I don't know. I think that was a bad idea, but whatever. And then the other thing that they have released is it's actual video footage of a white truck.
Pickup truck.
It's a white pickup truck. And the reason that this interested them was two reasons. One, they thought it would actually be identifiable because it does look like there's some lettering on the side, though you can't see it in any of the footage. It's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
But the real reason that they're interested is that you see Lauren walking down the street and you see the truck go by and then it circles the block and comes back around and passes again. And they think it would be pretty easy, particularly given Lauren's size and current state, to just quickly grab her and throw her in your truck and go off.
Sure. And now this took place at what time? When was this after she left?
4:30.
Jay Rosenbaum. So
4:30 in the morning.
That's when it was like, yeah. And then I know they tracked down the owner. He had kind of a weak excuse, I thought.
Can you remind me of what you thought
I don't remember ever hearing that they tracked down the owner.
I don't remember that either, so I'm just wondering.
No, what I read is they actually found the owner. I don't know exactly how they did it. Maybe he recognized his own truck and came forward or what. turns out he has like a construction company or something, and he was trying to find one of his employees, picking him up for some reason. So I thought it was a little strange at that time of the night. I mean, maybe he had a problem employee who got in trouble with things like drinking or something like that.
Or if he owns a construction firm, that's when they start. Sometimes.
Maybe it was his morning. Yeah.
I mean, it's June.
Yeah.
It's light early, and it's going to be hot.
That's true. Good point. So maybe that was it. Maybe he wasn't up late. Maybe he was up early.
Maybe
Listen, there are guys that I live in a blue collar neighborhood, and there are guys that come and pick up other workers or coworkers in the area, and they're there super crazy early in the morning.
Yeah.
Especially this time of the year.
Yeah.
So it's possible that was the resolution to that white truck.
That's what I heard.
It's possible that that wasn't actually the white truck, but that person was like, I don't know, I was kind of in that area at that time, and I have a white truck, and I was circling the block, so...
Yeah, maybe he thought,
I mean, I would. If I thought I might have been in that neighborhood, might have been on that camera, I would have probably gone to the police and said, listen, I can't tell you exactly what moment I was driving around what block. I can't tell you, I don't know where that surveillance camera was. Here's what my truck looks like. Here's what I was doing. Here are the people who can corroborate it, But the reason that white truck, it kind of brings up this theory of foul play, that...
Crime of opportunity.
A crime of opportunity, right? That somebody could have just been prowling for a victim for whatever kind of crime they wanted to commit, whatever kind of probably horrific crime they wanted to commit. And that Lauren, again, given her size and state, would have been a really, really good mark.
Yeah.
She would have put up very little struggle and, just overall would have been super easy to abduct and, do whatever you wanted to do with it. And then...
with her?
Yeah, with her, and then, get rid of the body however you wanted and wherever you wanted, and it'd be pretty hard to track.
Yeah.
The next foul play theory is Corey.
Yeah.
That Corey killed her.
Mr. I Hurked on the stairs.
Yeah. There are a couple theories here. Possibly Corey drugged Lauren, hoping to get lucky in the illegal way.
Yeah, so he roofied her in the bar, I guess. And I should point out that we didn't originate that theory. It's out there on the internet.
Yeah, no, none of this is original to us.
No. Never is.
Maybe Corey got mad at Lauren for spurning his advances and hit her. Really, the thing about Corey is that really no matter how you cut it, he probably does at least have a part ownership of her disappearance.
Yeah.
That's not to say that she should have been responsible for her own damn actions, but it does seem like he was continuing to encourage her to continue to be intoxicated. And then when he was supposed to be taking care of her, whether he was fit to or not, didn't really escalate. I mean, if somebody falls over and hits their head as hard as it sounds like she did, you don't just you shouldn't just take her somewhere and let her sleep. Don't.
Probably.
Even if you're super, super drunk, I mean, again, it comes down to that bad judgment that we were talking about earlier. But I would say I feel a little weird about saying that he definitely has a hand in being responsible for her disappearance, but I still feel like that. But it's just it's a weird thing for me, right? Because I don't necessarily know if they were both super drunk, but he seemed like he was definitely more sober than she was. So the hope would be... I mean, he wasn't...
If I disagree that he was maybe more sober. The fact that he walked in his house and tried to walk up the steps and lost the contents of his guts means that he was pretty toasted and was probably carrying around a big belly full of hard booze.
Yes, but the reason that I say he was more intoxicated she was more intoxicated than him is that she wasn't ambulatory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in decision making and whatever aside, he wasn't like so drunk that he was just falling over, sitting down.
There is such a thing as being able to function while blackout drunk.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's the only thing that I'm getting at is that he may have been it's like sleepwalking at that point. He's just doing things and
true.
Has a drunken mission.
Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But I guess I will add to that I do feel, and I'm sorry, Corey, if you're listening to this, but I really genuinely do feel like he knows more about what happened that night than he's saying that he knows. I know that face that you're making, Steve.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Otherwise,
It's hard to
but
say,
I
yeah.
just think he does.
We've all lost time, from a heavy night of boozing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it seems unlikely that he actually killed her, abducted her, or killed her or anything.
Like intentionally. killed
Well,
her.
Unless his roommate Mike is lying also.
Oh yeah,
Because,
that would have to be
And
part of this.
and what's the other guy? Jay.
Yeah.
Jay would have to be in on it as
He has
well.
to be
Right.
lying also.
So why don't we move to the next theory that kind of helps explain all of this lying
Oh,
that may
the
or may not be
the
happening.
not murdery theory.
The not foul play, but kind of foul play.
All right.
One thing I have not mentioned yet is that Lauren actually had what is called long QT syndrome, which is a heart condition that basically means your heartbeat can be really off and actually can be spontaneously fatal in and of itself. Like you can literally just keel over and die from having this, being perfectly healthy. Just
Well,
sitting
that
there
sucks.
totally sober and like normal all the time.
Well, luckily, for Lauren, I don't think that's what killed her.
I don't know. So that it's actually interesting because Lauren's parents are very sure that Lauren is dead, and they really think her drink may have been drugged, but that it was drugs and alcohol caused her to have a cardiac attack or arrest of some kind.
Yeah, the rhythm gets off, and then it skips a beat, and then it
just
misses a
stops.
beat, and then it doesn't pick
Yeah.
back
I
up.
would actually kind of even maybe give a vote to falling over backwards and smashing your head on a concrete step, maybe having a cerebral hemorrhage or something
Yeah,
like
so
that. That's a theory too.
Yeah,
but-
absolutely.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me to find out that she had been roofied or otherwise date drugged. I remember that being really big. When I was in Bloomington, Illinois, I was there until 2010. So I was there kind of around the same time, and it was like a really big thing. I got lucky, and they thought my Long Island iced tea, or they thought my friend, my like gay best friend's Long Island iced tea was mine, and drugged his instead of mine. But like he went from like totally fine to like crazy drunk within 10 minutes, and just had no memory of the entire night, and it was just. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that she had been drugged in one way or another. But also, I think it's not a crazy idea to think that her parents are just unwilling to see how far into the party scene Lauren was.
It's not an uncommon thing with parents
Yeah.
to justify some of it to
Totally.
deny another part that's less
Absolutely.
convenient or less is more painful.
Yeah. So, for them to say, like, yeah, she was drinking and that's fine, but she must have been drugged. Well, it sounds like she was doing a lot of drugs on her own accord.
But the one way to tell if she was roofied in the bar is just to check her state going in and then her state coming out. We know when she left the bar, she was hammered. Was she already hammered when she went into the bar?
That's great.
Maybe,
It's hard to tell, though. I mean,
well,
she was there for like an hour.
yeah,
40 minutes.
CCTV footage might, if they actually have video of her, they could probably tell she was staggering then. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, if she was really hammered then, would they have let her into the bar? I
Well,
don't know.
but I mean, there are some drugs you can do and it'll take 40 minutes to kick in, right? Stuff could have kicked in while she was at the bar,
Yeah.
as well as her being drugged at the actual bar. So during the pregame thing we mentioned, there were some drugs, which I didn't see, but Steve, you said it was on the Wikipedia, which...
Yeah, well, and I've
I
seen
didn't.
some other places they found coke in her room, not a lot, but a little bit of cocaine. And then according to Jay, they had been they'd been crushing up and snorting Klonopin, which is an anti-seizure medication.
Which, like, fine.
Well, I had to read about it. Apparently, people like it because it's it's a relaxant. It's not a stimulant. It's kind of a relaxant. So it's
Kind of the anti-coke.
yeah, exactly. So it's weird. I mean, it's weird to me when people like do two drugs. I want to get really high, but then I need something to bring me right back down. So I'm gonna. I mean, that almost seems like they were spiking, doing
Totally.
that, up and down
Yeah.
routine and throwing booze in the middle just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
yeah.
No.
So it's not crazy to think that, she had just overindulged. And I mean, Lauren was obviously very aware of her own heart conditions. So any number of the combinations of any of the things that we've talked about already could have really just caused a massive heart failure for her. I mean, or just being sober, obviously. And then again, or it could have been one of the like 4 or 5 times she fell over and hit her head real hard.
Yeah,
Could
that'll
have
do
done
it.
it.
Well, being aware of her own heart condition and the potential impacts of drugs and alcohol on that, I think you can counteract that with the I'm 20 years old and invincible.
Yeah.
I will never die.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she had a couple of scares, so it is interesting that she still was so feeling like she was so invincible, but, you know, whatever.
She probably just felt as long as she took her meds, she'd be okay.
Yeah, well, I've